I keep saying it, and I'm going to continue to beat the drum. This coaching staff, I don't care that we're the youngest team in football. Eventually, during the course of this season, we need to be competitive, and I don't know if it's going to be this week. I have us losing this game on the road. It's going to be hard to win this football game. I don't want to see all the turnovers. I hope Zach has a decent game. And I think that if we can get the running game going, and if we can get some points early in the game like Mike was talking about, I think that could lead to some success in this football game. If Mosley is out, it could even be worse. It could be bad. Jamie Sherwood, like you said, I like him too. I do not like the idea of him leading the defense. I think that's a scary proposition. What is going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. It is the Sunday night post-game show, and we are here after what Bryant Still said best. Just an absolutely embarrassing performance by the New York Jets. Honestly, Chad, it doesn't get a whole lot worse than this, and the New York Jets and the fans of the New York Jets have seen a lot of bad football. How are you doing tonight? Aside from the New York Jets, we're going to get to the Jets, of course, but how are you doing personally?
I'm sorry, was there a game today? I wasn't made aware that there was a game today.
There indeed was, and the Jets.
How'd it go?
It did not go well. I believe it's up on the screen right now. 54-13, the New England Patriots defeat the New York Jets. And we're not gonna laugh too much. We're not gonna laugh too much about it tonight, guys, because I'm gonna be honest with you. This was painful, absolutely painful to watch today. You guys are already loading it up in the chat. I am now hit the point where I am questioning things. I am pissed off about things, and to be quite frank with you, the coaching staff has me worried. Chad, what are your initial things you want to get off your chest here? And then we're going to get to the chat. So, guys, if you have takes, go ahead and load them up in the chat.
It's the same story every week where yes, we kind of had a good feeling we were going to lose this one, but we didn't think it was going to get that bad. And every time we don't think it's going to be that bad, it's worse than we thought.
Yeah.
Okay, it's worse than we thought. The one thing that nobody, despite anybody's position on Salah or the Darnold trade or what we did in the draft or what our predictions were for the year, the one thing that nobody wanted out of this year was an injury to Zach, and that's exactly what we got. And look, I'm not going to make any speculation. It didn't look good. Obviously, it's not that terrible because he was able to have a press conference after the game and stuff. But I was dead inside once that happened. Dead.
So let's talk about that, because there's a couple of ways or a couple of angles we could go at this. So the first one is that the first hit that he took on the sideline, I'm aware that once you leave the pocket and you run with the football, that you are no longer considered a quarterback. And so the fact that he was hit low, technically, if we're going to get real crazy here, technically it wasn't a low hit on the quarterback because he had already broke the pocket. But having said that, he still threw the ball, and after he threw the ball, that's the hit that he took, and no effing flag. What? And I tweeted out earlier today. I wish I had screenshot it so I could put it up on the screen, but there was a guy in the picture right behind Wilson, and his primary focus, being the guy behind the quarterback, is to watch for a couple of things. Number one, the quarterback. And number two, he's looking for offensive linemen either having some sort of penalty, false starts, that kind of thing. The play had already happened, so he wasn't really watching the offensive line, and he especially wasn't watching the offensive line because Zach had rolled out of the pocket. and his eyes are directly on Zach Wilson as he's taking that hit. How is that not a penalty? I personally don't understand it. Our number 2 overall draft pick is now hurt. The reporting that I read is that it's a PCL injury. We don't know to what extent. And the quote from Zach is that his knee feels unstable. That is what he said himself. The fact that it's unstable, I read a tweet, for some person, I don't know how credible they are, but basically it indicates that it's a grade 2 PCL injury, which means it's going to be at least a couple of weeks. So I don't even know where to begin. It's absolutely a gut punch that our quarterback's hurt, and I think it's just devastating, man. What did you think about the personal foul stuff? Or not?
Yeah, I mean, it should have been a call. I mean, I feel like this happens to it at least once a week. This week, it was particularly egregious because it happened to Zach. And in my opinion, it happened to Zach twice in a row. But, nonetheless, it really didn't affect the final score. It really didn't affect the outcome of the game.
No.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Very.
Nonetheless, I wish it wasn't happening in this way, but I do think that he's gonna benefit from having at least a couple weeks to sit and watch. I guess it's gonna be Mike White we're gonna put out there.
I hope that that's the case. I hope that it's just a couple of weeks and nothing more. But there really is no way to know, man, because if the early indications are that his PCL was not stable, that his knee felt kind of weird, not a good sign. And there's definitely the risk that he tore that ligament. And if he did, it is all she wrote for this season. And my God, now we will start to hear people really criticize Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh for the decision that they made to not get a quarterback in here. And I get it. The season's over if Zach Wilson's out. That part is clear as day, and I understand that. But you have other players on the team that need developing. And if Mike White's the quarterback, how are we expecting to see Elijah Moore take steps, Denzel Mims to take steps, Michael Carter, all these guys? They all hurt because of this. So it's just very, very odd. Kev Chatta is in the chat. He says, hi. Gotta say, because of Gase, we know telltale signs of inept coaching. Why are fans so dumb to not realize we have a worse staff than under Gase? There is no spinning mind to believe we'll get better. I can't say that we're worse yet, but my God, Kev Chatta, I'm not even gonna argue with your take here. It was terrible what we saw today. There is zero excuse, and I said it in the intro, and I said it during our Wednesday podcast. This coaching staff, there's no excuses for it being the youngest team. I could give two shits if we're the youngest team or not. The only thing that really matters for this coaching staff is to see improvement over time and throughout the weeks in this season. And right now, it ain't happening. There's no development. There's no improvement. And in fact, it just continues to get worse and worse. And one more thing before I let you go, Chad. And I know some of the things that Saleh was saying in the post-game presser were, he was very, very upset. He was cursing and whatever. I don't really give a care if he curses or not. But he had talked about how hard the team had played. Come on, dude. We don't care how hard the Jets played. We got spanked. If we played hard and we lose 54-13, nobody cares. Don't try to sell me on the energy and the effort that they were giving. It's just pointless. And so I didn't really like hearing that from Saleh. I felt like that was just coach speak, really, just like a lazy thing to say. Oh yeah, they played really hard. Well, we've heard that kind of crap before, and it hasn't really panned out. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, next he's gonna tell us that they had a good week of practice. No, and where was the Saleh that we saw during the preseason? Where's the Saleh jumping up and down, throwing the clipboard? Where's the guy that we were promised from San Francisco where he's getting mad? I mean, is he burning like where's that high energy guy? And then furthermore, where's the leader on the offensive line after the opposing defense takes a shot at your quarterback's knee? Where's the guy? I mean, come on. Where's the guy coming in afterwards with some extracurriculars on that end to say, hey, look, no, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what's on the scoreboard. You're not going to do that to our quarterback. Where is that? Where is that?
You make
Every
a
time
great.
they pan over
I'm
our
sorry.
sideline, they look dead. Salah looks like he's in over his head. He looks confused. Our offensive coordinator just got his driver's license. It's ridiculous. It's not looking good.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, and I apologize. I was only going to say that another show that I really like on YouTube is Jets Talk Radio, and Tyson Roush and all those guys. They were tweeting about it, and they showed the clip. There was almost zero reaction on the sideline, let alone the players on the field, from when he took the really it was the one on the sideline. Man, that one, I can't believe he didn't get hurt on that play. And according to Zach, on that play on the sidelines, he said he didn't really feel anything. It didn't even hurt, apparently, which is crazy to me because it looked like he was done for the season in that play alone. So, yeah, why was there no reaction? And I can't really figure it out because the people on the sidelines, maybe they were just watching the ball because he did just throw it right before. But the players on the field, there's no way they all missed that. And if they see their quarterback taking a nasty hit like that at the leg, especially the lower leg, man, there should be some sort of repercussion. And you're right, there should have been extracurriculars for sure. So you are not the only one with that take. All right, I got to get to my chat because there are a lot of people lighting up this chat. Brandon Gorky, he says, gotta love Phantom Moses getting mad that the Pats ran up the score. Ooh, boo-hoo. Yeah, I saw that too. How about they stop getting stomped every single week? I hate Bill Belichick. Hate him. And I hate the New England Patriots. You will not find more fans that hate the Patriots more. I can't stand the New England Patriots. I can't stand Bill Belichick. But you cannot be sitting here and saying, oh, they ran the score up on us. How bad of them. Like, flip the script for a second. If the Jets were spanking the Patriots 47-13, wouldn't you want another touchdown? I could care less. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Chad? Do you feel differently on that one?
I mean, I don't think that we were going to do anything to stop them, like after the third quarter. I mean, stop putting yourselves in a position where you hope that out of professional courtesy, the other team takes their foot off the gas. Stop it. If that's your best defense is hoping that they'll just get tired of beating you, and out of professional courtesy, they'll just run out the clock. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Stop it.
Yeah. Sean with a different take here. I believe he's talking about the hits on the quarterback. He says, who cares? It didn't affect the game. Also, he needs to learn to play in the pocket and step up in the pocket. I don't mind your take, man. There's no doubt Zach Wilson needs to be better. However, we didn't really see enough of him in this game to be really critical. But you're right, man. He's taken some big hits, and getting the ball out faster on the sideline could have avoided, that big hit that he took. But it's easy for us to say that, we're fans. We're not actually football players. Some of those things happen so quickly, you just can't react quick enough sometimes.
Well, somebody on the post-game show, it might have been Ledger Doozable or I don't know who, but somebody on the post-game show made the point about how, like Mike White didn't look great. I mean, he threw 2 picks, but he got the ball moving at certain points, and the biggest difference was as soon as Zach doesn't have his first read, he's gone. He's gone. He wants to scramble, he wants to run, and the problem is when it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's not working a lot lately. And I think that's the point that guy was making.
That's fair, and I appreciate you taking that time to clarify that. So that's good. Anthony throws a question in. He says, what is the difference between what we are watching this year and what we watched last year? Fantastic question.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got it, Chad. Take it.
Well, this year we were hoping for wins. Um,
Well, I think what he means is why is the performance why does it feel so similar? What do you think?
I mean, it does it because it's extraordinarily like it, we're- Salah has a relatively long leash, and so does Joe Douglas. But with with games like this, it just makes it so much harder when there's a lack of energy, when you're getting blown out, when you're getting reminded by the CBS broadcast team that it's now been 12 consecutive games, 6 years since we've beaten the Patriots. Like it all piles up is what I'm trying to say. And it's hard, man. It's hard to find any positives at all. Like where there's just really there's no positives to take away. There's nothing you can hang your hat on. There's nothing you could say, hey, I mean, at least we have this, we can build on that. It's not there. It's not there at all.
Yeah, Anthony, I'll try to answer your question. I would say we're still obviously not a good football team, and I think there isn't really much of a difference, and that's why we're seeing them still get embarrassed on Sundays. We didn't see this kind of game last year, but the losses were still embarrassing nonetheless. We're just not a good football team. We are not a good football team. We're not ready to win. Kev Chada says, John, you also agreed on Twitter. Wilson again held the ball too long. NFL does not let the quarterback play varsity football. Some responsibility is on him. Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I think I've said, I think Wilson, he has kind of a long leash as well. But it's one of those things, man. Like you can't baby the quarterback just because he's a rookie. He has to get better. He has to play better. He has to do a much better job of getting the ball out quicker. And the stats show that when he gets the ball out quicker, he is a much better quarterback. Just in general, the stats are better. And that's the case with, most quarterbacks. The longer you hold on to the football, and I was talking to my wife about this, the longer you hold on to the football, bad things happen. Just bad stuff. You're gonna hold the ball and then force it. You're gonna hold the ball, get sacked. All these bad things can happen from holding it too long. Obviously, wide receivers that may have been open, no longer are open. All kinds of stuff. All right. Jason Rhodes, he says he's better off being out the rest of the year. I don't know if that's true because we don't want him to be injured seriously or significantly, but the thought did cross my mind, Jason. I'm not going to lie to you. So you're not crazy for saying it. The team is really, really bad right now. So even if he's okay in a couple of weeks, do I really want him out there? I don't even know, to be honest with you, at this point. The Iceman, I agree with you. He's saying it messes up the learning curve. I believe he's talking about Zach. Yeah, I don't want to stunt his ability to learn, but at the same time, if he's going to keep taking shots like this, maybe it is better for him to just sit and learn for a full year. There were people on social media in Jets fandom land where they wanted Zach to sit an entire football season, and maybe this is a great example of why that would have benefited him. DSNY 73, he says today's game, reminded me of the one from the Sanchez Ryan era when the Patriots regularly ate us for lunch. Sometimes wonder if we've really made any progress at all. Oh, it seems like with the Patriots, we're just waiting to see what type of nightmare we're going to experience, don't you think? It's every damn time. There's always some sort of traumatic experience coming from these games, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think he's talking about the 45-3 game. Yeah, and look. I mean, I hate the Patriots more than anybody. I hate that organization. I always will. I actually hate everything out of Boston. But but no, it's what do you say? I mean, what can you say when the same organization has just beaten us down and now for, I mean, well over 20 years, just over and over and over again.
It's
I don't,
brutal, man.
yeah. I mean, you hope that other teams play them harder as some sort of consolation prize. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Bills beat them this year. I mean,
That's about it, right? All right, Harry W. Thanks for the comment. He says we need to get GVR, Greg Van Roten, out of this lineup. There was a play early in the game where he was like blocking or falling into Moses. I mean, he is a disaster of an offensive lineman. What are your thoughts on should they bench him? They certainly didn't bench anybody. I was waiting to see. We talked about it on the Wednesday podcast. I was expecting big changes and not just like first half changes, but just like the lineup. Why didn't they make any adjustments to the lineup at all? Why wouldn't you
um,
have done that?
I there's no good answer for that. Darnold got benched today, by the way.
Yes, he did.
But no, I mean and I hate that we're always in a position to be talking draft in like before November. But I said this last week. I'll say it again. I don't care how sexy the defensive ends and the wide receivers are next year. I want a guard and a center, or possibly a center and a tackle. But I'm going O-line with those first two picks next year, and no one's going to tell me different.
So that'll make a lot of Jets fans happy hearing you say that because I think a lot of people are at that point where they just don't even care. Our offensive line is still not good enough. You're seeing. I'm not necessarily saying that the Chiefs, their offensive line is struggling, but you're seeing that quarterbacks who are very, very, very good and very, very talented, they can go into some rough patches if they're not protected. And I haven't watched enough of the Chiefs to know this, but he's really struggling this year. And I was kind of laughing at it early on, but it's pretty apparent now. Patrick Mahomes is not only getting hit a lot, he's not looked the same. So the story has not been written on Zach Wilson, and I don't want to be overly optimistic because I'm certainly not. I feel really, really bad about this whole team right now. But the story has yet to be told, and it just goes to show you anybody can go through rough patches, and every quarterback needs a really, really, really good offensive line and a really good supporting cast too. Patrick Mahomes is superhuman. We all have been saying that, how unbelievable he is. The dude has had some really bad football games this season, so moving forward, we have to do a better job of supporting him. Guard, center, potentially a right tackle, tight end. We probably could use another running back. I really like Michael Carter, for what I've seen so far, but we probably could use another running back in the backfield. Hard to believe, but wide receiver, we probably could use another wide receiver. Like it's incredible how many things we still need on this offense. Tommy R is saying, can we talk a little bit about how uninspired Saleh looked on the sideline? He certainly did, and there's really not much to say other than that he and all of the coaches on this coaching staff, they need to step the fuck up because bad things are coming our way if they don't. If they don't start to make adjustments and to make changes in the lineup, in their play calling, whatever, schematics, things are not going well. And so
there was a noticeable difference in his overall presentation, if you will.
His demeanor.
His demeanor between week 1 and 2 and then what we saw today. I mean, he looks like if he always looked like that, you wouldn't notice. But because he was really fired up in week 1 and week 2, and then what we're seeing now is just it makes me worry that they're going to start to check out. I mean, we've got 11 games left.
Oh, many. What are we? 1-5. 11 would make it 17. Yeah. We have 11 games.
Yeah, we have 11 games of this left to go, and can anybody really sit here and say that there's any hope that they're going to fix this? They're going to find some answers and all that cliche stuff it's not going to happen. So that energy is going to have to come from him. These guys are going to be checking out in mid-November, if not sooner, and it's not going to be good. The rest of the way out is not going to be good.
Yep. So there's a couple of comments in here about Joe Douglas, and I'll go ahead and I'll read them right now. Brandon Gorky, he says, Joe Douglas' honeymoon is over. This team has made zero progress since he's been here, If he doesn't fix this coming off season, he's gone. Jason Rhodes, Joe D needs to get out. I mean, now. He can't draft again. Let's talk a little bit about this. I think that the conversation, I think it can be had. I think it's now appropriate to start having these serious and very, very unfortunate conversations. Are you losing any belief in Joe Douglas's ability to build this team? I think his philosophy is in the right spot, but I just don't know. What are your thoughts?
He gets a lot of credit for these for the trades, and for good reason, for the trades that he's made. But the problem is that him, just like Salah, just like anybody else, they're going to be judged on wins and losses. And the trades are great, and we'll be happy about them when it comes time for draft time. But we're looking for answers right now. You know what I mean? And no, I mean, if there was a way that we could keep him in a capacity where he's, a trading consultant, but not necessarily a general manager, I mean, that would be the best. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they need to produce on the field for the general manager to stay around. That's what it comes down to.
I don't even know where to begin with Joe Douglas. So I will only point this out. I'm not ready to bail ship yet. But what I will say is the proof is in the pudding. We can no longer sit here and say, oh, it's only his first off season. It's, he's still building the team, and he is. He does still need time, but there's no excuse for us to look like that. There's no way we should be losing 54-13 to a rookie quarterback and an offense, let's just be honest, at best is average. There's no way we should be getting our doors blown off by the New England Patriots. I predicted 27-16 that we would lose. That's a double-digit loss. So I expected to lose this football game, but no way should we be getting our asses turned inside out by this football team. I don't buy that. There's no way. Go ahead.
And some people could say, some people could say, like, can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see you though.
Yeah, I'm gone. But some people could say,
let me call you back because I think you may have dropped. Let's get Chad back on the line. He dropped it just like the Jets did today. We'll go to Christy Marie. She says, Salah said post-game we ran out of humans. What? Stop with the soft excuses. Clown, I'm sick. I will say, though, if Salah is going to start going that route about talking about how we don't have enough players, that was a very Gase type of thing to say, talking about how players are going, and that's true, they are dropping like flies, but don't start to pull that weak stuff out. You can't make that excuse. It just does not work. Let's see. Gonna skip ahead a little bit. Brandon, I think Zach is ready. The team and the coach are the ones who aren't ready. Honestly, that might not be a terrible take there by you, Jason Rhodes. I do think that there are some valid concerns to be had with this coaching staff. I felt like it, in a couple of games, we were not prepared to play football. For sure, obviously, in the first quarter, we still have yet to score a point through 6 games in the first quarter in this season. It's absolutely unbelievable that we still have yet to score a first quarter point. So that alone just shows they're not ready to go at the beginning of this football game. DSNY, he says, for Zach, it has been baptism by fire, and that's a shame. Still wish we had a vet that he could observe and learn from. That's why I was really into the idea of trading for or signing a veteran quarterback. I was skeptical of the move. I had said that they were sticking to their guns with that decision, that they were going to ride with Mike White or with James Morgan, whatever it may have been. But I never really understood why. Why were they so resistant to having another voice, a veteran presence? I get it. you want to save some money, but that I feel like that is not the position to be playing around with. And again, your quarterback takes a huge hit from that. We got Chad back here. Hey, Chad.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. You're backing up. No worries. Um, so I was just reading comments. Talked a little bit about Zach and the lack of a veteran quarterback to learn from and to go to, and obviously we don't have that right now with him being injured. Rick Fisher, I've not seen the Jets this bad in 30 years. This game was embarrassing as a fan. I don't even want to go the route of let's talk about the worst games in Jets history, but this definitely fits the category, right? Like we're not gonna sit here and say like what was the worst game, but you have to agree, right? Like this is one of the worst games that you've seen from the Jets.
Oh yeah, I mean, and there's been a lot of bad ones. Um, there's always those games where like the score does. We always say like the score isn't necessarily an indicator of what we saw on the field. Well, today
Exactly.
definitely was.
Right.
Today definitely was. When it's halfway into the first quarter and you know that the game is over,
I
it's
know.
just like when it's the first quarter and you're like planning, okay, like how can I spend the second half of the game because I'll keep the TV on in the background, but I'm not going to subject myself to this. Um, that's when you know it's bad.
Uh,
Um,
no, you're right, man. Johnny Jets, God forbid Zach is out for an extended period of time. Then what? What is the plan at QB going forward? They will probably, I don't know if they put Josh Johnson on the practice squad, but they might elevate him. And then I think they're going to ride or die with Mike White, which I believe is crazy, to put it bluntly. We are going to lose football games with him as the quarterback if that's the case. Let's see. Sean says, doesn't seem like any changes were made. They basically said it's on execution, not the play calls. I saw that take as well from many people, and it's hard to argue with that. Let's talk about that, Chad. Do you think they made any changes to really anything? Like the play calling? Obviously, the lineup wasn't any different. They really didn't adjust that. So, did they just sit there and say to themselves, you know what? It's not on us, guys. We just got to keep plugging away and teaching.
the whole world, banged our fists on the tables around the Jets world and said you got to do the things to get the ball out quickly. You got to get Mims involved. None of that happens. None of that's continuing to happen. They're not going to change. They're not going to change anything about this scheme moving forward. They say all the right things that we all want to hear in the press conferences, and then they just do whatever it is that they're going to do. Um, I understand that the Patriots have a different system than we do, and God knows they have a better organization than we could ever hope for. But I don't want to take anything away from Mac Jones, but the dude has dinked and dunked his way through the season so far.
He
And you know
has.
what? But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I would be happy if we were doing that with Zach instead of having him. And again, this is what he does, but it's hey, let me roll out, run to the sideline and just chuck it and hope for the best. I mean, put your guys in a position, if not to succeed, then at least not to have the game on the line every time they're taking a snap, right? Like especially when your O-line can't open up any holes. Your guys are struggling. These holes are getting closed within seconds of taking the snap. What do you do? You get the damn ball out. Get the ball out quicker.
Yep. Nope. I'm 100% with you, man. You're not wrong. It's super frustrating. I'm going to read through a couple of comments pretty quickly here. Thomas Cahill, he is a member of NYJ today, so thanks for hanging in there, man, and thanks for commenting. He said LaFraud must go. We are going to talk about Mike LaFleur in a few moments because I want to get to that next. Ryan Griffin, GTFO, get the fuck out, bring in Yaboa. Can't understand why they did not try that, but maybe they will in the coming weeks. I am very disappointed that there was no. I can't repeat that enough. I'm super disappointed that they did not make any lineup changes at all. I think that was a critical mistake and honestly a lost opportunity to get some looks at some other players when like really we're gonna do worse than Greg Van Roten at right guard. We're gonna do worse than Ryan Griffin at tight end. Like, come on. Put somebody in there with some potential and let them play because I'm tired of watching these two veterans clunk their way through the games. Also, I'll say this. Sorry, this is so big. I'll shrink that down. Also, I'll say this. Right now, I want LaFleur fired ASAP. The guy clearly is lost. He makes no adjustments. His game plans suck. Meanwhile, this week he said he let his wife script the first 15 plays. It's an interesting thing to point out. So he's clearly joking. We can all agree on that one. But maybe take it a little seriously, Mr. LaFleur, because right now you're getting your butt handed to you every single week. You're not doing your job, and you're not doing it well. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this because people are very, very PO'd. And honestly, I think I'm at the point now where I'm not ready to fire him. I think it's too soon. I don't know if you can do that mid-season, but how could we not be questioning him at this point? And I was a huge, huge supporter and a huge fan of that move. I think he was a very, very attractive hire when they made it. What are your thoughts on LaFleur at this point? Do you think we stick with him? You know, it's hard to say because it's only week 7, week 8?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Go ahead.
Well, I think he's certainly on the road to having a one and done tenure with us. Um,
Oh, God. Go
the
ahead.
one thing, and it worked out very well. I mean, the one thing that we did see was he got the ball to Moore in space today.
A
Um,
little bit. Just a little bit, though.
yeah, and I will say, I mean, for the first time in his career so far with us, we finally got to see that just a spark of electricity out of Moore and what it could possibly look like if we get to see this on a regular basis. He had like next level speed coming down the sideline.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean he should be going for jump balls on the sideline, like the one that got picked? No, but get the ball to him in space if possible. Put him on an end around. That happened today. It worked. It worked out well. Um, Nonetheless, that was one play, and from what we've seen for the overwhelming majority of the season so far, there's no answers for it. There's no explanation for it. There's no answers for it. I think he's going to be one and done at this point, unless things substantially turn around. I could see him being a scapegoat for this regime at the end of the season.
Which is super bad, by the way. I will highlight that is a really, really bad thing. So, of course, you don't want to keep a dead end coach on your staff. Like, if this guy's no good, obviously you don't want to keep him. But let's just go ahead and say it, man. If we have to fire another coach for a guy who we just drafted number 2 overall, he's going to have to learn a new offense. That is bad. The history of the NFL shows that if you are if you're hiring and firing coaches for a young quarterback to have to do that, after just one season, it is detrimental to say the least. It is going to impact Zach and potentially not in a good way. Of course, it could be they fire him and they find some guy to revitalize the offense. But it's very, very concerning to think about that situation. Go ahead.
I will say the alternative to that scenario is, I mean, the Greg Knapp situation that happened was obviously a horrible tragedy. But what he would have been was a much older, much wiser presence. And from the reports, he was extraordinarily involved in what was going on. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find a replacement for him, a one-to-one exact replacement for him, but instead of getting rid of LaFleur altogether, do they search high and low for somebody who's been around for a long time, who knows the system, who can work closely with Zach in that kind of capacity? That's something else that they could do.
Yeah. I'm very worried if they do that. I'm not saying you're wrong. but it really freaks me out to think because that's, I mean, really, if you're thinking about it, that's just exactly what happened with Darnold, man. And we're seeing that Darnold is not a very good quarterback, obviously, because he's struggling in Carolina. So,
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't want to. What is it, Schadenfreude? I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Have too much Schadenfreude, and because I actually still like Sam, and I hope he does well. But those first 3 weeks, that narrative was getting really old, and I think the last few weeks we're really starting to see, um, the real Sam down there in Carolina.
yep. Thomas Cahill is asking who let Judon in. I believe he's asking, the hit that hurt him. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to guess. If you guys know in the chat, please feel free to throw it in there, but I'm not sure. If I had to guess right now, it was probably Moses, but I'm not sure. I really don't know. Although I guess he came in behind Zach, so potentially Fant. It's one of the two. I don't know. I really don't. Oh, Robbie Oak, you are so right. Too many reasons to be a distraught Jets fan again. It sucks, man. It really, really sucks to be in this frame of mind yet again. Oh, oh my God. Let's see here. Michelle, they're all talking about you dropping out. Mike, he says, and I don't believe this is our Mike. He says Mims and Yaboa. I think these are two guys that he's saying they should be in the lineup or at least be playing more. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we can see that Mims is not going to fix our problems. Like, that narrative probably can die now. Like, he should still be playing, and I'm not going to say that he should be on the bench. But Mims alone is not going to turn the season around. So, I do poo-poo the coaching staff for not playing him. But I just, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you.
They've made it abundantly clear that they don't want him on the field.
Yep.
Uh, we've seen this in the past couple weeks. They put him in the game in the fourth quarter when the game's well over. Um, I don't think anybody believes their excuses, whatever their whole thing was about learning every position on the field or whatever they said. But right, wrong, or indifferent, they don't want him on the field. They're probably trying to move him. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't trying to move him. Um, it just
Yep.
doesn't make any sense.
I'm with you. DSMY73 says Deshaun would be interesting, but doubt he'd want to come here now because he wants to be a long-term starter. I don't think so. The rumor is that the Dolphins were about like imminently going to trade for him, and they were supposed to do it by the end of this week. Well, the week is over. I don't see Deshaun Watson being traded before the deadline. I really don't.
When's the deadline?
It's very soon. It's in. I think it's like next week or something like that. I think November 2nd. It's coming up. Um, anyway, it's fun to talk about that, I guess, but I don't see that as a likely thing. I don't think any team's going to be comfortable to make that move because we just don't know enough about his situation. Rick Fisher, if things continue this way, how soon could it be before Saleh is on the hot seat? I hate reading stuff like this. I can't believe we're even having to talk about it. I'm not mad at you, Rick Fisher. I just can't believe we're at this point. What would you say, Chad? When would he be on the hot seat? If losing, if we end up going, 1-16, 2-14, is he done after 1 year? I personally say no, unless it's absolutely abysmal like this. What are your thoughts?
With the fans, he'll be on the hot seat by week 12, 13, 14. With the organization, he probably gets until next season.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and I'll make that prediction right now. I am absolutely questioning Saleh. I'm definitely questioning LaFleur, and I am now beginning to question Joe Douglas somewhat. But that does not mean that they'll be gone. In fact, I will go ahead and I'll make a prediction right now on the Week 7 postgame show. Everybody, with exception of maybe LaFleur, I will say Saleh will be back next year, regardless of record. I think Douglas will be back regardless of record. If we go 1-16, I think they will both be back. I really do. That's just my prediction on the situation. Thomas Cahill, West Coast offense sucks. Coaches suck. Jets Unleashed. I want everyone to be fired. Okay, all right, that's fine. It's already up, my dear. Jets Unleashed. I want everyone to be fired. Salah looks like he's over his head, and the offensive coordinator can't do anything to move the ball. The defense can't try to stop the tight end and the run. Dude, the defense, we can talk a little bit about that right now. I knew they were going to struggle without Mosley, but I was not expecting the avalanche of, I mean, they were just ripping off huge plays in this football game. I would be very interested to see how many 20-yard plays they had. They had to have had close to double-digit 20-yard plays in this football game.
Your no defense should be entirely and wholly dependent upon one middle linebacker. And I realize how important Mosley is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if there's been any silver lining to this season, it's been the resurgence of Mosley after 2 years. I think very few of us predicted how good he was going to be. But losing him, like when we saw that report that he was going to be out early this morning or late last night or whatever, it should not have immediately been a blow to this thing. The way that
magnitude. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that should not be happening. Just ripping off runs up the middle.
Yes.
At will. They're just ripping off these runs up the middle.
It was a beautiful game plan. I hate the Patriots. I'm not trying to cut you off here. They did such a good job of attacking the middle with the running game, and then they were stretching us out laterally with all of those play actions, the screens, the tight end screens, the running back screens. They were doing all kinds of trick plays. Like, I mean, they just did an unbelievable job of executing their offense, and I get it. The defense was abysmal. Tip of the cap to their play calling. It was really interesting to see how those two things went along with one another, because they were just absolutely going inside, and then they would stretch them out laterally. Inside, stretch them out laterally, over and over again, rinse, repeat. Pretty impressive.
Outside of Brandon Echols, I didn't think anybody on defense looked good at all.
Nope. No, it was bad all the way around. Johnny Jett says Darnold had how many offensive coaches during his time here? That's my concern, man. It's almost like we just are trying to repeat what we already did. I have no patience for that. Zach deserves better. I mean, everybody's going to agree with that. Nobody. It's just like the Sam Darnold crap, man. Like he's off to a really bad start for his career, struggling, now injured, and the team's just terrible, just absolutely terrible. Thomas Hewitt missing Rex Ryan. I had a feeling the more we lost, going along the season, people would start talking about Rexy again. Do you ever miss Rex? I feel like it's pretty common. Most Jets fans miss him.
Yeah, I mean, I miss the personality, but look, like when we got into years 2013 and 2014, you also have to remember how like terribly sick of it we were, because when the whole personality thing, when it worked, it was great and everybody loved it. But when it didn't work, I mean, we hated it, absolutely hated it. But when you see somebody on the sideline that looks stoic and he looks like he's just in over his head, then that's the times when you kind of miss Rex Ryan. I mean, you got to remember, everybody welcomed Todd Bowles for those exact reasons. We welcomed Todd Bowles for being a professional or whatever, and
exactly,
and he was, but we were also terrible during those years. But I'll tell you, to tie it all together, have we ever come back from a bye week and looked in any way ready to go ever?
No. This is that's the other thing we haven't even touched on. The fact that they had 2 weeks to prepare for this football game and they look like that's like another layer of like ineptitude, and it's like confusing to think that in the 2 weeks of time they not only scripted another terrible opening drive. They also didn't make. I mean, what were they doing? What changes did they make? I didn't
And
see anything.
do we not say that every year?
I know, man.
Like, does every like are we the only team that comes back from bye weeks less prepared than we were?
Uh,
I don't. Why?
I
Why?
know. I know. Kev Chad, a deja vu all over again. We did not fire Gase immediately because we wanted stability for Darnold. Lesson of the story. It's best to nip it in the bud, fire them ASAP to avoid more years of a mess. There's some validity to that, but there's also the case to be made that the best organizations, they find their coach and they keep their coach. And I get it. The New York Jets have just not been good, and that's part of the reason why they keep firing their coaches. But that cyclical, pattern over and over again of just not any stability. I mean, it is a factor. And I do hear what you're saying, though. Like, if he's a bad coach, he's a bad coach. But we've got to have some stability in the organization. And I think firing all of these coaches after 1 year, who's going to want to come coach for us? That's the other thing you have to look at it, is who is going to want to come to be the head coach of the New York Jets if you're firing this new regime after one season. It's likely not to happen. That's why I keep saying, even if we go 1-16, I would not be shocked at all if they stick with all of the coaches, again, with exception to maybe LaFleur being fired. All right. Mike, bottom line, he says Saleh and LaFleur, not good coaches. You could be very well right, my man. It's very, very possible, which would really, really suck. Brandon Gorky says the last thing that this clown car of a franchise needs is Deshaun Watson. Yeah, there's a lot of chatter going on right now about Deshaun. I would be more than stunned if they made a move for Deshaun. That would not be very Joe Douglas-like. And honestly, why would they want to do that? Why would they want Zach Wilson? I just don't know why they would make that move. Because that's probably what you'd be looking at, is that the Texans would want Wilson, and the Jets wouldn't have to give up all of their first-round picks. But I don't know.
That's the only saving grace out of the Deshaun deal to the Dolphins is the absolute haul that the Dolphins would have to give up to make that happen.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Because as far as I know, they're still like loaded with picks over the next 3 years, I think. So they have the capital to give it up, and I obviously I don't want them to have Deshaun, but at the same time, I'd like to see them give up all that capital.
Well, the team with the most capital, I believe, is the Eagles. They have 3 first-round picks right now, I think in the top 10. They hold their own first-round pick. They hold the Dolphins' first-round pick, which is like top 3 right now, I think. And then they hold, I think, maybe the 49ers' first-round pick. So they've got a treasure trove for this upcoming draft. I don't know why they're not in one of the teams being rumored. They make a lot of sense for Deshaun Watson. Personally, that's how I see it. Hader Ali, he says, Shanahan was 0-8 to start his first year. Weeks 1 through 12, the 49ers scored just 187 points, which was 17 points per game, which was in the bottom half of the league. LaFleur isn't going after one season. That could be the case, and you're right. The Shanahan era, I believe he's talking about Kyle in San Francisco, definitely started out rough, and the same thing could be said for the Jacksonville Jaguars when Saleh took over as coach, or I think he was defensive coordinator linebackers coach. I apologize. He was linebackers coach for them, and then he moved his way up to defensive coordinator for the 49ers. It was rough for them that first year, and they had to get some more pieces. I don't hate your take, man. I think that you could be onto something, and again, of all of the names, I don't think Saleh's going anywhere for sure. I don't think there's any doubt. Eddie Hunt is in the chat, and he says, JD isn't going anywhere, and the team is lucky to have him. This is a young team that's learning and also fighting injuries. I won't talk about the injuries, You are right though. Young football team. I'm still not sure if we're lucky to have him yet. I felt that way, and I'm hopeful to feel that way. But if we're not improving this season, then what has he done? What have we accomplished under Joe Douglas? Aside from a couple of trades, the team has to improve. That's the GM's job, is to get the team in a position to eventually become competitive. So we'll see. We'll see how lucky we are. I hope we're lucky, man. I hope that's the case. Um, Kev Chada says, what team has ever fired a rookie head coach OC before first year midseason? They should be fired, but I don't believe that any owner has the humility to admit that they are wrong. I don't think it's going to happen. Matthias Simon, he says, no more excuses. You had 2 weeks to at least look better, but it got even worse. Yeah, that's the part that's really ripping me up. We were outcoached. We were out of position. We were outcoached badly in this football game. Let's keep moving here. Thomas Cahill says Trevor Lawrence is so happy he didn't come to the Jets. Oh, that's like another sore subject. Announcers said during the game that the Jets have lost 6 games after the bye in a row. So, Chad, you were on to something when you said it earlier. I did not hear that stat because around the third quarter, I went ahead and I just started doing other things. I left the game on, but I started to walk around the house a little bit and do other things so that I wasn't feeling like I was drowning, basically. Let's see. 54 points. Yeah, dude, no. There's no excuse for that. There's never an excuse to ever look like you don't belong in the NFL, and today they accomplished that. They did not look like they belonged, and we are the worst team in our division right now. The Miami Dolphins are 1-5 as well, or 1-6. We are probably worse than the Miami Dolphins, and when we play them, who's to say we won't lose both those games? Why would we be able to beat the Miami Dolphins? Not sure if we could. What do you think about that, Chad? Are those winnable games?
I mean, we're a bottom 3 team in the NFL, if not the worst team, depending on the week. I guess the Dolphins are winnable games.
Maybe.
And I now that
I know, man. Timothy Hassan, I don't recognize you. Welcome to the show, my man. He says, bro, this team is talented. It's being miscoached, period. And honestly, that's a really good take by you. You don't play this poorly just by having bad players. There's no doubt about it. They are not getting what they need out of this coaching staff. I think I'll just put it that way. And you said it best. If they are being coached better, they will play better, they will perform better. Bottom line, no doubt about it. I agree with you 100%.
Dude, do you know what the Bengals are gonna do to us next week?
Oh my God, let's talk about that. Go ahead.
Do you know what that's gonna look like? Well, honestly, what am I doing? I'm going down. I've never been to an SEC game. Like me and my buddy, one of my buddies, we always talk about we want to go to an SEC game. So we were sitting around drinking early in the summer, and we were like, hey, well, let's go to an SEC game. So we bought tickets for Florida, Georgia, down in
Nice.
Jacksonville. So
Damn.
I'll be in Jacksonville for that game. Obviously on Saturday. So I'm gonna watch the majority of the Bengals game, probably from an airport in Jacksonville. And it's gonna be a mess. And obviously, and Bagel fans, I'm not sure if Bagel fans actually travel, but if they're gonna travel anywhere, it's probably gonna travel to us. They beat the Ravens today, for God's sakes. I mean, I know the Ravens are littered with injuries and stuff, but and then the Bills after that.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you were like, dude, we got to play the Bills, and the Bills were gonna smash us? They're going to smash us.
I think that the Bengals are going to smash us. I think so. Let it be known, man. Jamar Chase, and I loved him going up to the draft. And I think I talked a lot about him going into the draft. He was my favorite wide receiver. I think he was a lot of people's favorite wide receiver. He has far exceeded my expectations, and anybody who was critical of the Bengals taking him over Penei Sewell, which I was one of them because I felt like they needed that tackle more. He just had a 200-yard game today, and he was already crushing before that. I think he had 500 receiving yards before today. So the dude's already creeping up on 1,000 yards. It's incredible the connection that he and Joe Burrow have. Uh, yeah, dude, I'm fearful of what he and Joe Burrow will do to us. Joe Mixon is a beast. Their defense, although maybe not world beaters, they're coming along too. So
They'll be resting their starters by the start of the fourth quarter next week.
ugh, it's
And I
disgusting.
can only hope that we don't lay down, that we go out and fight.
Yep.
Um, them and the Bills is going to be bad, real bad.
Yep. So we are going to do one more question, and then I'm going to let you go. I'm actually going to continue the show solo, but we're going to do one more comment here. Costas Katsolis, I appreciate you coming in. It's a first time comment from you. I appreciate you checking the channel out. So thanks. He says, I mean, let's be honest. Did anyone expect something different for year one? I am fine with 1-16 as long as young players get time to develop. Talk about whether you agree with that or how do you see that? If we go 1-16, even though it's year one of the regime, the collective regime, not Joe Douglas's first year, but everybody all together now. This is Joe Douglas's coach. This is Robert Sala's coaching staff. Is it okay to have expected more from the team? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. After all the hype that we had around this team going in, all the hype over the summer, everything we heard about Elijah Moore, everything we heard about, oh, this Robert Sal is different. This is a different energy. This is a different organization we've got this time. As good as Zach looked in the preseason, as good as he looked in training camp, yeah, 1-16 is going to be very, very disappointing. And it's been nothing but disappointment. I mean, almost nothing but disappointment so far. Look, we wanted. We weren't. Nobody was asking for the world. Nobody was expected the playoffs. But I think we wanted like 5 or 6 wins out of this year, and that's not even going to happen. We're not even going to get close to that. We'll be lucky if we get another win or two for the rest of the way. And yes, we're right to be disappointed in that because of the amount of hype that went into this season going in. I mean, we had the AVT pick, we were all excited, and then the injuries started piling up and all this stuff. But uh, I can't blame Jet fans for being disappointed.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's his take. I'm not sure if he's saying we shouldn't be disappointed, but I think the idea here is, Costas, is that although we were never expecting them to be, super duper competitive, but 1-16 would be bad. I don't care where we are, where we stand as a team. 1-16 is not good enough, no matter what part of the rebuild you're at, and it should not be. It should not be that bad. There's a lot of pieces that Joe Douglas has brought in that we should be seeing some things. We should be seeing our running game looking a little bit better. We've brought in multiple offensive linemen. I know Becton's out right now. We've brought in numerous wide receivers. We brought in a quarterback. Things should not look as bad as they are. So anyway, I do appreciate your take. Just because we disagree with you does not mean that you're not welcome. Chad, we'll say adieu to you. Good night, sir. And see you next week, my man.
All right, guys, hang in there.
Yep. All right, Chad
All right,
signing off. Have a good night, brother.
all right. See you guys.
Later, man. And we will continue the show because it ain't over yet. So we've got the Who. He says it's a good thing Sam is having a bad season. We could have a early second round pick. That's the hope. You're hoping that Carolina loses. You're hoping Seattle continues to lose because that's, at this point, what else are you rooting for? What are you hoping for if you're a Jets fan? We want more draft picks. We want better draft picks. I don't think there's any way you could not be rooting for that stuff to happen. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to throw the call-in number on the screen. It is in the chat, 347-921-1468. If you guys want to call into the show, I can take some phone calls. Would love to get you guys as a part of the show. And I'm going to throw that number up there just as fast as I can because, baby, I want to get your phone calls. Let's see here. 347-921-1468. That is the phone number to call. Oh, and we got our first caller. So we'll go ahead and take this phone call.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Do I have Jason Rhodes on the line?
How you doing, buddy?
Dude, it's been a long time. It's good to hear from you. What's going on, man? Tell me about.
It's been a busy season for me. We're done with harvest, so I can come back and talk with you on Sunday. So I'm glad to be back.
Dude, it's awesome to have you. Let's hear from you. What are your thoughts right now? I know you're ready to talk a little bit about Joe Douglas, probably, and I'm up for it, man. I'm ready.
You know it.
I'm ready to talk about it. So why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I'm not placing blame on the coaching staff. We've got a young coaching staff. I actually liked what I saw on the defense. They played with some heart. The problem I have is Joe Douglas has put so much weight on some of these players. I'll give you Michael Carter, for example. You and I have talked about this numerous times. Michael Carter is not the guy you put in for a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 1. And yet he's got this young coaching staff convinced that this is the guy. A 200-pound running back who is a boomer bust guy is not the guy you put in for a 3rd and 1. He's got a young coaching staff convinced that that's the guy. He traded away Adams, who is the leader of the team. Who's our leader on defense now? We don't even know.
Yeah, that's a fair point to make. Like, our defense, without Mosley, I would say, there's really not a lot going on the defensive side. I think Marcus May, you're seeing, is I don't want to rip him up to shreds because I know he's a good dude, but we're not really seeing him making a lot of plays, and he hasn't done enough to be a real good team leader. I think he's a good veteran leader. I think he's a good voice in the locker room, but other than that, we do need more voices to help this young squad.
Now, and you brought up C.J. Mosley. Now remember, 5.5 games in 3 seasons so far.
Say that again?
Mosley, if we're counting on Mosley to be a team leader,
yeah,
he's got 5.5 games as a New York Jet in 3 seasons.
Yeah, no, I know. And I mean...
That's not a leader.
Well, part of that's the injuries, though. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but part of it's the injuries.
But we can't give the excuses of that. A leader is the leader, and 5.5 games in 3 years. Well, I shouldn't say 3 years because it's not complete, but 5.5 games in 2.5 seasons, whatever. That's not going to give leadership to the players that are out there now. We have a great. I really like the young secondary. They needed a Richard Sherman type guy, even if he was just in the locker room.
Dude, we talked a lot about that in the offseason. I'm not against that idea at all, and I was definitely pro. Let's bring in a quarterback to be there for Zach. And again, if things go rough, you switch it up. You don't keep Zach in there. You don't throw him to the wolves. And right now we don't have.
So
that.
when we knock on Adam Gase, when we knock on the entire coaching staff that we have right now, you're asking these guys to and I said it in the chat, to polish a turd.
Yeah, no.
Okay, no
you're
matter
right.
what you do, no matter how shiny you get it, we fed these coaching staffs some very mediocre players, and then we turned our starting linebacker was a defensive back until he became the New York Jets.
Yeah. No, I hear you. You're not crazy for saying that.
Is that the coach's problem, or is that the coach's fault, or is that the general manager's fault?
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that part is fair to say. Like Joe Douglas, he's the one that's predominantly responsible for constructing the team. And right now, we've seen 2 seasons of him kind of like patching things together. He's obviously trying to accumulate draft picks, but things haven't necessarily worked out for him so far. And I'm definitely one of those people that's thinking to myself, okay, you drafted your quarterback number 2 overall, and that's all well and good, but we're going to wind up hurting this kid in ways that could be even worse than what we did with Darnold, in my opinion. And that's my big concern is the no tight end situation. Like, we really don't have a tight end threat. You're hard on Michael Carter a little bit, I think, but I also I think you're right, though. Like, having him be like kind of the bell cow in this offense isn't necessarily a good recipe for success. So yeah, I'm not hating your take.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, no, I know.
Elijah Moore is a great example of, did we need Elijah Moore, or didn't we need a Creed Humphrey more today?
Yep. No, I'm with you. I think that's a fair take to have. Creed Humphrey is having a pretty good season there with Kansas. It's Kansas City he's with, right?
Yes, he started all 7 games. They're still struggling on offense, but that has to do with their right and left tackles.
Yeah.
But we have, did we need Elijah Moore at that point?
Well, my argument at the time is that we knew Keelan Cole was on a 1-year deal. We knew that Jamison Crowder was on a 1-year deal. So assuming that they both move on after this year, which I think is reasonable to expect,
yep,
they really didn't have a lot in the cabinet. Could they have waited until the 2022 offseason? You might be right about that. But I would have rather seen Zach Wilson stand upright all season and throw to nobody than to have talent on the outside and be chased around or beat like he has been. You're not making any crazy claims, in my opinion. I think you're making a lot of sense. I am going to let you go, though. I got other people trying to give me a call, so thanks for giving me a call, dude. And it's good to hear from you.
All right. Great show. You always do a fantastic job.
Thanks, dude. You have a good night.
You too.
Take care. All right, that was Jason Rhodes. Thank you, Jason, for the call. The phone line is open again, 347-921-1468. I'm going to try. Oh, we got another caller. We'll take that right now.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello there. Who do I have on the show?
Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm hanging in there. What do you got for me?
Well, I don't know, man. We start over. We fire Adam Gase and we start over again. All right. We got Robert Saleh, who I'm a very big fan of, as an assistant coach. And, we have all this cap money. We don't spend anything on offensive line. Joe Thuney was out there. Steven Nelson was out there at cornerback. And we have these picks, and we're going to get some good draft picks, hopefully, in next April. But, what is Joe Douglas waiting for when it comes to the cap and trying to get players that can be impactful and help this team right away? I know we lost Carl Lawson to IR, and we got Corey Davis. That's great. But one player on offense, one player on defense, that's not going to make a difference alone.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you. There was really not enough of an emphasis in free agency to address the offensive line, like you said. And I think that you make a good point bringing up Steve Nelson. We talked a lot about Richard Sherman throughout the offseason. They should have been looking for some of these guys to try to not necessarily patchwork the team, but to help the young players come along and not thrust them into the fire, if you will.
I agree. And then to add that, I've been talking about this probably till I got blue in the face all summer. Get a backup quarterback. Whether that meant trading for Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew. I'm sure I could throw some other guys out there, but now we got this guy, Mike Quinn, who's probably going to be our starting quarterback for at least a week or two. And, he can be not only a good second quarterback coach for Zach, but also, just somebody that could teach him nuances. We lost Greg Knapp to tragedy, God rest his soul.
Yes.
And I feel like Matt Cavanaugh is not the answer to being this teacher. So why didn't we get somebody? I mean, how does Joe Douglas explain that until today our only quarterback had zero starting experience at backup?
Yep. No, it's unbelievable. So going into the game today, our backup quarterback to a rookie had less experience than the rookie starting in the NFL. It doesn't make any sense. And, when they decided to not trade for somebody, and you mentioned a couple of the names, Gardner Minshew, Nick Foles, who's still out there, I said I didn't agree with it. I understood what they were thinking, but to me, the logic was really never there. I never understood why you would not do all that you could to make it very, very easy for your quarterback to learn and to improve his first year in the NFL.
And it's unfortunate now that, we have all these picks coming up. We have all these possible great draft capital we're going to make of it. We're playing so bad right now. It seems like even when Adam Gase was here, it seemed like it was a more attractive spot to come to New York. Now we feel like we're going to be spending money on players that maybe we want, maybe we don't want, and maybe guys who might want to come here, maybe they don't. But it seems like we have to throw money at these guys, and I get why Joe never did that the first 2 years. Now he's going to have to.
Yep. No, you're right. And I think the offseason, this upcoming offseason, we already said that it was crucial this past year, but it becomes more crucial because you have that young quarterback that's supposed to be taking steps every year. And you're right. They're going to have to make some big-time moves in free agency. And, hey, listen, man, here's the other thing we don't talk enough about. Why are we not making big trades for veterans who are proven, like the Bills did for Stephon Diggs, and what the Cardinals did for Kyler Murray trading for DeAndre Hopkins? Like, we need to go ahead and maybe use some of these picks on a player like that.
I agree. And what baffles me to no end also is Joe Douglas has 3 Super Bowl rings on his finger. He got one as a scout. He got one learning from Ozzie Newsome in Baltimore. He got one learning from Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. All right, now it's his time. Now I get Ozzie always tried to live through the draft, but you can't have day one starters in every position, and it seems like that's what Joe's trying to do right now. I mean, we got Zach starting at quarterback. We got Michael Carter now starting at running back. We have Elijah Moore ready to go at wide receiver. How are we going to do that? I mean, we got Elijah Vertucker, who might be the only good rookie starting right now, playing well at offensive guard. I mean, how can that be our whole offense? I mean, I get the plan will come into effect in 2 or 3 years, but fans are getting restless. I know I am. I mean, 12 years without a playoff appearance, and the closest we got before that was Week 17 of the 2015 season, winning we're in, and obviously that didn't happen.
Yep. Ken Burrell-Tompkins. Do you remember that play?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
All right, Kevin, awesome call. Thank you so much for taking time to give me a call, and thanks for watching the show, dude. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me on the air.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. You have a good night.
Good night, man.
Yeah, you too. Awesome call from Kevin. Got a couple of comments. The phone is open again, of course, so if you want to give a call, I am willing to take some more calls. 347-921-1468. Kev Chata, I never wanted Wilson, but his stats were padded playing against varsity teams. Regardless, we cannot write him off yet. Good coaching is the missing factor. Of course, Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. He wasn't necessarily playing the top tier competition, and he was raw as hell coming into the NFL. I know he's not Josh Allen. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is his great coaching is the X factor that's missing here. They coached the hell out of Josh Allen. They clearly knew what they were doing when they built the team around him, when they were, not giving up on him, not changing coaching staff every year. These are the things that are crucial in developing a quarterback. And right now, we don't have that, and it's super alarming and concerning that things have been turned upside down so bad. We were all prepared to lose games, and I want to make sure that's very, very clear here. We had some comments earlier talking about how, what did you expect? And it's not that I expected so many wins. I did expect to see a better, coach team. I did expect to see a more competitive team, and we're just not getting that. We've got another phone call here.
Jason Green.
Jason, how's it going, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for calling in tonight. What's on your mind?
Well, man, it was just an embarrassing loss today. I think offense can say that. It just sucks that it had to be that bad.
That's the thing that I can't wrap my head around, dude. We lost 54-13 against a team that has no business blowing any team out like that. So it's just crazy.
Funny thing, they're 2-5, right? That's what I believe they are.
The Patriots are now 3-4 after the win, I believe.
Okay, so we're not the only team that they won against. I was gonna make a joke that we were the only team that they won, but
well,
I believe now they beat Texas.
Dude, that's a fair point. 2 of their 3 wins are against the New York Jets. I mean, they're not a great football team. They are an okay football team.
Yeah, man. Just wait until we get to next week, man. It's gonna be bad against the Bengals.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Bengals? And honestly, we have the Bengals and then we have the Bills.
To be honest, it's kind of funny because since Zach got hurt, this reminds me of the Bengals last year, where Joe Burrow got hurt, and now we're in the same situation as them. So to me, it's just kind of ironic.
It is very ironic, and the exact same thought crossed my mind. The only difference is when Burrow got hurt, he was actually playing pretty damn good. I think you probably would agree with that, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. He was trying to get his team a win and was lining up.
Yep. So what else is on your mind? What are you thinking about the Jets moving forward here? You have any concerns with Saleh, LaFleur, Zach Wilson? I mean, I'm getting a lot of comments in the chat right now about Zach. So what are your thoughts?
To be honest, everyone, there's questions everywhere. At this point, as Jets fans, it's hard for us to say we can trust anyone at this point. It's hard for us to say we can trust Joe Douglas or the coaching staff with all the situations they have looked like. It just looks like they don't know what they're doing now. And so for them to say, like, now we don't see Denzel Mims and more out there, something to me now is like they may be good, they just not be playing out there. So the problem is now is that if they're not being used properly, could this be just Zach Wilson's not being good because of the play calling? Same thing that happened with Sam Darnold,
Yeah, dude, that's the thing is, like, I do believe that Sam Darnold was never going to be a great quarterback. I know we definitely hurt him, and I think that's the thing is, like, he's still feeling the he's feeling the impact of the New York Jets and what they did to him still to this day. Like, it's like traumatic, like to be that exposed in the New York market and to play that poorly. The kid may never rebound. He may never find his footing in the NFL because of his experience with the Jets. So yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I think you're right. Like, the Bengals game's super scary. They could absolutely throttle us just like what we saw, which is hard to imagine, losing that way back to back. Thank you so much for giving me a call. You're a first-time caller, so I hope you keep watching the show, and I hope you give me a call next time, buddy.
Can I have one more question before I go?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
So on our schedules that we have left, what team do you think we have a chance of winning?
It's a great question. So the Saints are not a perfect team. They are not good. They're not having a great season. Jameis Winston is not having the bounce back that a lot of people were predicting. It's in New York and it's in December, so the Saints is a winnable game, I suppose. I think Zach Wilson will be back by that point. The Jaguars, of course, is technically a winnable game. They're not very good still. The Dolphins are a winnable game, I suppose. I'm not sure. And then also the Eagles. But all of those teams that I just...
Do we play Texas too?
We do. And that's the other thing. Like, Texans, they're playing pretty competitive football. I'm not saying they're a good team, but, you know, at this point, Jason, where I stand right now, I don't feel comfortable predicting any wins for the New York Jets. It is.
I feel the same way, man.
It's hard to find a win. Those games that I mentioned, they absolutely can win them because any game you can win in the NFL. It doesn't matter what your scenario is. We saw that last year when the Jets beat the Rams, as a bad football team beating a very, very good football team. So any given Sunday, but it's hard to find a win right now for the Jets because they're just playing so badly.
I have one more question. This is the last one.
All right, cool.
Do you think the Jets can get the number one pick if somehow the Lions is able to get a W?
They've got the Dolphins they're competing with. They've got the Lions that they're competing with, I guess, for that pick. I don't know, man. It's really hard to say. It's super early. Can they get the number one pick? Definitely, because they're playing really, really bad football. But we'll see, man. I'm not too sure. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably say maybe the Lions will get it. But it's going to be super close. But I would love to get Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. All right, dude. Thank you so much for calling. I hope you have a great night.
You too, man.
You too. Take it easy.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Jason, for giving us a call. And I agree with this take from No Pain, No Gain. He says nobody is actually a winnable game. When it comes to playing the Jets, we could say that we are supposed to win, but we are down to the level of the team that we're playing. That's the problem half the time. Super true. And again, I do not feel comfortable predicting wins right now. It's just not something I don't think any Jets fan's comfortable predicting wins. It's just too much of a mess right now. Let's see. DJ Guapolini, he says the Bengals are, looking good. They are a very strong team. And how can you not see, or how could you not expect the Jets to just get their asses blown out? At this point, it's hard to not picture that in your mind, I think. Kevin Bull, good to see you in the chat. He says, if I had to choose one more win, it's against the Eagles because we never did it before. This is a fact. The New York Jets have never won a regular season game in their franchise history versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So I would love to get that win. That would be a good one to pick if you had to pick one. Oh, God. Elliot Spencer, he says, I didn't expect a lot of wins. I'm in the fold of fans who predicted 5 wins before the season began. The first quarter issues are exasperating. Yes. It's hard to imagine that through 6 games, we have scored 0 first quarter points, which is the equivalent of being shut out in a game and a half. Incredible. Just incredible. Let's see. Yes, coaching definitely has to step up, but maybe he doesn't need to start right away. That's the thing, man. Zach, it's very troubling right now because it's one of those things where all of the parts are compounding on one another. Bad coaching right now, bad performance on the football field, rookie quarterback getting injured, all of these things are just not good for a quarterback. And so if they had made a move for a veteran quarterback, they could have done what the Kansas City Chiefs did. They did not play Patrick Mahomes until the last game of the first season. We've seen the Green Bay Packers do this, in their history. The Aaron Rodgers, he sat for several years. Chad Pennington sat for several years. There's definitely examples of players coming into the National Football League and playing well, even on bad teams, or, having success down the road on bad football teams. But there's also a case to be made in sitting somebody. You're helping them to get their footing, to get the mental aspect of the football game, learned, the offense, and, just understanding all of the things that go into being a good quarterback in the National Football League. It's a lot to learn. So I agree. I think, in hindsight, and, I would have supported the decision to not play Zach Wilson right away. And I think a lot of fans at this point are probably thinking the exact same thing. It is still early. The night is young, 9:30. I will take more phone calls. The phone number is on the screen, 347-921-1468. If you guys want to call in and vent, if you have questions, comments, takes on the draft, takes on the Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, I'm happy to see those in the chat, but I'm also happy to take those phone calls. And if you're watching this right now, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Who do I have on the line?
Jason.
What's going on? I got a lot of Jasons on the line tonight. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I just wanted to make a little quick comment.
Go
I don't
for
want
it.
to throw this in your face, though, because I'm a Bills fan. But I got to be honest with you. I kind of feel sorry for Jets fans right now, to tell you the truth, though.
Dude, how could you not feel bad for us?
I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I feel so sorry for y'all upstate. Man, I feel it. You know when I was watching some of the highlights of y'all game against the Patriots today? You know the first thing that kind of jumped in my mind was Richie Kotite when he was coaching the Jets.
Oh, dude, I know. It's an amazing thing how the Jets just seem to keep cloning themselves over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, I know. That's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, man, this team is really bad. I was thinking about when Richie Kotite was coaching the Jets in the 90s, though.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty rough, dude, right now. I'll be honest with you. You got any more?
Did he tear his ACL today?
We do not know. Right now, the reporting is that it's his PCL, and we don't know. We do not know if he's out for the season, similar to what Joe Burrow went through last year. We just do not know.
Oh, I was like, that don't look good already. Your franchise quarterback, though.
Dude, it's not good. It is not good at all.
I was thinking about something, though. Well, what's that about this team? They look like the worst team in football. The Lions, they actually could go 0-17 this year.
Right. The Lions are not good. The Jets are not good. And, there's a couple others. The Dolphins are struggling right now. The Eagles are no good. There's a lot. That's the thing.
Hey, are you familiar with TD Finn's talk?
Say again?
Are you familiar with TD Finn's talk? He's like a huge Miami Dolphins fan.
I've never heard of him.
Oh no, he has a YouTube channel. He'll have like other people on from like the AFC East.
I got you.
Yeah, you should look him up though. I recommend him though.
I appreciate that, dude. Thank you for the call, dude. Have a good night, my man.
You too, man.
All right, brother. Take it easy. All right, got a Bills fan in here rubbing salt into my wounds, I guess. Let's get another call here.
Call from Guapolini. To accept, 1. To send a voicemail, press.
Guapolini, how's it going, dude?
What's pop locking and dropping, my man?
Oh, my God. Pain, dude. Over and over again. It's a never-ending cycle. How are you doing, man?
Man, I hear you, man. I hear you. And I want to say shout out to all the true Jets fans not these bandwagon. Excuse me.
No,
not
you're
these
good.
bandwagoners that come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
dude.
you're gonna go through this. And the Buffalo, listen. I lived in upstate New York. I lived right an hour away from Rochester Stadium. I mean, they crazy out there. You know what I'm saying? But there was a time when they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row.
This is
So
a fact.
I haven't seen anybody do that feat again. So they have that record. So as bad as we are, we still don't have that record.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? We might not, we only made one,
Right.
but that's okay. And speaking of the team we got now, man, I'm going to tell you, the problem is not the players that come to the New York Jets, bro. I've been a Jets fan for a long time. It seems that the coaching is getting worse and worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, why is somebody else calling? I've never been a firm believer of somebody else calling the plays but the damn head coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You make that final decision. You make that call. Protect the quarterback. We hurt Chad Pennington. We hurt what was the boy there? Butt fumble, Mark Sanchez. When Gino was in there, Gino was running for his life. When you see Sam, when he's in there, he's running for his life. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Sam Darnold was a better quarterback. He just got in a different system, and he ran for 5 touchdowns this season already. So it's excuse me. It's from the inside out, man. They got to look inside and get rid of all them people. And the trainers, they need to get choked out too. Because if you got these many people getting hurt, and you're the one training these people, Atlantic facility or whatever, then maybe it's time for a change there too, because you're not doing your job.
Dude, hold on one second. Hold on.
I need to be Randy Raven, bro.
Hold on one second before you go, because I hear you ranting and you're doing a good job. They just replaced their entire training staff. That's the scary part, dude. They just replaced all of them, and this is still the result we get.
Well, this is see, when you shop at Walmart or you shop at a place that doesn't have the right people, this is what you get. You pay for what you get. You want to get a discount, you're going to go to the shade tree mechanic and be like, yo, can you fix my brakes? But then you go down the road, ain't no guarantee that your fucking brakes is going to stop your car because you just saved $60 on a brake job. Come on, man. Spend the money, man. You know what I'm saying? Get some quality people behind these people and stop killing these kids out there, man, on the field. Because, man, look what they did to Sam. Now you got White out there. What's going to happen to him? Who we got if White goes down?
Nothing. We got Johnson. That's it on the practice squad.
Man, I'm a first time on your show, man. I love your show. I'm a subscribe and all that. I'm with you, bro.
Dude, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for calling in. You're hilarious, bro. I hope to hear from you again.
No doubt.
All right, my man. You have a good night, my man. DJ Guapolini with one of the best phone calls into the show. Very, very funny. I needed a good laugh. It has been a rough, for all of us, it's been just such a frustrating day. If you guys are calling into the show, I will let you know there's no way to call and to be put on hold. So if you want to get in on the call, you just have to, just call in as soon as these phone calls end. I do apologize if you're trying to get in. There's been a lot of people wanting to talk about this game. So anyway, the phone line is open again, 347-921-1468. It is open and ready to roll. Matt A. with a good point. There is no such thing as a bandwagon Jets fan. So true. And I think I talked about that. I don't know if it was on Wednesday's podcast show or not, but there really is no such thing as a bandwagon Jets fan because the bandwagon fell off of a cliff and exploded many, many years ago. Rick Fisher, it is my pleasure. Again, guys, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's stream and tonight's show. I say this every week, and I know it sounds corny, but watching these games, and I'm watching them with my wife and my daughter. It is so frustrating to watch these games, and then I swear to you, every single Sunday night when we do the Sunday post-game show, I don't feel better about the Jets, but I do feel better, if that makes sense, just because I do have the opportunity to hear your guys' takes, and I'm able to also vent a little bit myself. We got a legend calling into the show, Grant Rude.
Call from. To accept.
My man, how are you doing, Grant?
I'm doing all right, I guess, considering.
It's good to hear from you, man. I saw that you were trying to call in. I'm glad you kept calling in.
Yeah, no, I figured I'd wait.
This is your show now, so let me hear what you've got to say. I'm ready and I'm willing.
I've got a couple of rebuttals actually from some takes in the chat there, and what I was seeing on Twitter earlier today, and well, I kind of over the last few weeks, people hating on LaFleur in his play calling and design and yada yada yada, and I've spoken out against a few people. Me and Joe Blewett got into it a little bit ago.
Oh.
And the only problem I'm really seeing here is Zach Wilson. I mean, we put in Mike White, and the offense looked better.
Talk a little bit about like what were you seeing? Because I don't necessarily 100% agree, but I don't disagree either. So what did you see that you thought was better about the offense?
I was seeing the same play calls. I was seeing the same drops from the wide receiver, but I was seeing a quarterback get the ball out to his first read over what Zach Wilson was doing is ignoring his first read, trying to be the hero, escaping the pocket, and making that backyard stupid throw that clearly isn't working over 5 weeks, almost 6 weeks now. I see Zach Wilson today, 6 for 10 for 51 yards. Mike White, 20 for 32, 202 yards.
Yep.
Mike White, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Zach Wilson, 0 and 0.
Yep.
Like, how do we evaluate what LaFleur is doing when his quarterback can't hit a 3-yard screen?
So I don't hate what you're saying. I don't hate what you're saying at all. I'm gonna let you talk some more, but I wanna answer. So I did see some things from Mike White that I think we haven't seen enough of from Zach. But I don't think we can look at Zach, and I think you might agree with this. We can't necessarily look at Zach's stat line from today and say, like, compare it to Wilson, or excuse me, to White. But like you had mentioned, they were running the same type of offense. The offense didn't necessarily change. But one thing I did notice is that he was going through his reads noticeably faster. He was looking at the, the first read, the second read, and the ball was coming out quickly to a check down option. And I saw that over and over again. What did you think about that specifically?
Yeah, that's like my exact main point there is he was going 1-2 check down, 1-2 check down, 1-2 check down. Wilson is going 1, oh shit, I don't know any of my other reads. Let's just run around for a little bit and try and make a hero throw. I'm so over every little excuse that we're making for Wilson here. I mean, if you go back to the press conference after the game before the bye week, the first 2 out of the 3 questions were, hey, what do you think about your footwork, being that you have such a terrible completion percentage in the short yardage throws? Third question in the interview, hey, what do you think about your footwork when your completion percentage is so terrible in intermediate throws? And both of those answers were, my footwork is fine. So I'm like, oh, Jesus. So we got a huge attitude problem here on top of mechanical issues.
Yeah. I know you're not a...
He doesn't see this as a problem.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
It's just insane. He doesn't see this as a problem. He doesn't think his footwork is a problem. That's a huge, huge problem.
Yeah.
And so now on top of having mechanical issues, you got this kid thinking that there is no mechanical issues. So, like, we're screwed. So the PCL thing, I think, is a great injury, to be honest. I don't want any player to be hurt.
I know you don't.
But if it is a PCL tear, we're looking at possible season ending here.
Yeah,
so the Jets will be forced to play a different quarterback, and we'll be able to see a different quarterback in the same offense with the same O-line, with the same receivers, and see how they do. And my suspicion says what I've been saying all along, Wilson is not the quarterback for us. I'm so over everything already. I didn't like him coming in. You know that. I know that.
Of course.
It's just been exactly what I expected, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'll touch on the thing that you said about, him resisting it. Of course, he needs to take ownership and he needs to recognize when things aren't going well. I didn't see the clip. I'll just have to take you for your word at it that he said that. If that's the case, if he's saying that his footwork is fine, I'm also going to throw the blame on the coaching staff. And I don't want to make it seem like it's an excuse, because I don't want to make excuses for Zach, because I will say it over and over again. He has to play better. He hasn't played good enough. The one thing I will say, though, is if he thinks his footwork is good enough and his mechanics are good enough, that there's a good chance that his coaches potentially are telling him the exact same thing. And that's a big, big problem. And you could be right. It could be an attitude thing where he's like, no, screw you. My mechanics are just fine. This is what I've done always. But I also see it as a double-edged sword. If he thinks it's fine, I bet you money that coaching staff sees it the same way. You got any? I'm happy to listen to another take that you have.
I would kind of counter your take. I agree that the coaches have to start drilling it into his head that he needs to get this off-platform jumping when he's throwing off his back foot. They need to get rid of that out of his game. But at the same time, yes, that is their job, but it's not something you can do in season. You can kind of work on it, but I mean, you got to be focused on plays. He needed to come in ready for the season, and he just wasn't.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I don't know how more obvious it could be to people. He just wasn't there,
No, I'm with you, and I think that if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, like more time for Zach would have been better. Like he needed more time to get a solid platform and to learn the offense and to learn the NFL game to have a shot. Is that what you're kind of hinting at there?
Yeah, yes. And you know my take on it. His mechanics are terrible. I've been saying it over and over again. And finally, in the last couple of weeks, people are finally starting to say the same thing that I've been saying all along. His mechanics are terrible.
Yep.
Trying not to swear here, but
no, you're good, man. Swear away. And
he should have sat at least this year. But then, I mean, who do you play? Do you play Mike White, who obviously doesn't belong in the NFL, who just played better than Zach Wilson did?
Yeah,
that's really scary.
Well, we'll see. There's some interesting takes in the chat. That he was facing, at that point in the game, they weren't really doing a whole lot defensively. Not necessarily prevent defense, but he's just running the offense in a blowout at that point. So I hear you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I can completely agree with that. But I mean, still, the fact is, I mean, can anybody really defend the fact that Mike White is on the field? Does he really deserve to be there? Is he a good quarterback?
Yeah,
is he an average quarterback?
No. He should not. He should not be on the team. They should have made a better move for a quarterback. Yeah. And I don't care what fans say. Like, I was one of the ones that was saying, like, okay, like I don't really get it, but like I support it. At this point, it doesn't matter what the fans say. It's clear as day that they effed that situation up. They should have gotten somebody else in there. Mike White as the backup is a complete and utter fucking joke. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I honestly hope we see Josh Johnson playing in the coming weeks here. We have the Bengals, then the Colts, then the Bills. 3 very different defenses. I think we'll be able to see, and good defenses, but I think we'll be able to see what this offense actually is now that we don't have hero ball going on the entire game.
We shall see.
I know a lot of people are pissy with me right now. I guarantee you the chat's just going
they
on
are.
saying this guy's an idiot.
They don't agree with you, and I mean, that's where you should feel like
how what else?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like you should feel no worries, because what you've been saying all along, we're seeing a little bit of that right now. And, the longer it goes on, the more it's going to make your point, stand out, I would say.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not worried about the hill I'm standing on right now. For 5 weeks, he's done exactly what I've said he would do.
Ugh.
And people still somehow come up with bizarre excuses.
Damn you!
One last thing
Damn you!
Wow, I mean, really, what else do you say? Come on. Like, he's been terrible. Oh, but it's the O-line's fault. Oh, it's the OC's fault. Oh, no, the wide receiver's fault. Come on. Mike White faced that same exact defense. They dropped the balls there. There were like 2 or 3 drops easily for easy completions. The play calling didn't change. The quarterback changed, and the quarterback was better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see how you can argue with 5 weeks of crap and then 2 quarters of below average, but not crap.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to be nice here, but delusion is a word that's coming to my mind. Anyway, before I let you go,
Yes.
I had one last point, and now I'm forgetting what I was going to say.
It happens.
Chat is happy that I'm going to let you go on that.
It happens to me all the time. All the time. I forget my thoughts, and then I sit there and I fumble around for a couple of seconds, hoping that it comes to me.
Yeah. Oh, that was my last point. For the people hating on Elijah Moore, did you notice the 3 big plays that Moore made? You kind of seen like, oh, hey, Kyle Shanahan's calling the play for Deebo Samuel. Man, does he look good?
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. That's what.
And then the rest of the game, why in the hell is he playing the outside receiver position? So there is one little thing that I will be pissy about with the coaching staff, but I mean, otherwise, what do you even do when your quarterback can't hit a 3-yard screen?
Yeah, I'm not against you on the Elijah Moore pick. I think the Elijah Moore pick still is a good pick, and I think we saw the playmaking ability that he brings. He needs the ball in his hands, and it hasn't come his way enough, and it hasn't been on point enough. But what do you know? What are you gonna do? I don't even know. So, thank you so much for calling in, man.
We're gonna play Josh Johnson. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh God, I hope not. I don't know. I don't even know.
Free time then.
Yeah, you have a good night, dude. Thank you so much. All right, that was Grant Rude, the legend Grant Rude from Canada. He is an awesome voice. You know, I don't necessarily agree with all of the things that he said, and I know the chat. You know, I know you guys don't necessarily agree with him either. You know, I saw some people saying, you know, some people mocking him a little bit in the chat. So not all of the things that he said are, you know, crazy in my opinion. I think he was talking a lot about the mechanics. That's something that he has been harping on all the way back to draft season. So it's hard to be critical of his take because he's been steadfast in it, hasn't wavered off of it. And he is just like all Jets fans. He wants to be wrong. He wants the Jets to win. He's a Jets fan after all. I can promise you he's not one of those people that, you know, is sitting there praying that Wilson is terrible just so that he can be right. That's not the kind of guy he is. That's not, you know, I've known him now for, you know, going on almost 9 months now. It's just not what he is about. He is a firm believer that Zach has some flaws in his game and they need to be improved on. So how can you hate on it when he's consistent with it? That's really all I ever ask for, is a consistent take and that you be reasonable with your takes. So that is the one thing I will agree with the chat on. I don't think Mike White looked necessarily better, aside from getting through his reads a little bit faster. That part I do think looked better. But the ball was not jumping off of his arm at all. There was the play towards the sideline where he threw it. He was in the pocket, and it was a slow ball. It took a long time to get over there, and it was easily intercepted. The guy was open, but because the throw just had no juice behind it, it was never going to get there on time. And that's what Jets Unleashed just said. It was floating a lot. He was sailing passes. The throw to Ty Johnson, I believe it was Ty Johnson or Ryan Griffin, you know, it was put up way too high, led to an interception. So, what do you say? DJ Guapolini, sit Zach. they might not have a choice. He's potentially injured, but I hear what you're saying, though. Even if he is healthy, sit him down. And actually, if you think back to the 2018 season when Sam Darnold got his leg injury versus the Dolphins, he was going through a rough patch. He sat for a couple of weeks, and when he came back, he actually rebounded quite nicely and looked pretty good that near the end of that season. So, maybe some time off for Zach is what we need, and obviously the team around him needs to play a little bit better. The coaches need to do a better job, but it's a rough look right now. I'll say that. Let's see. No pain, no gain. He says the problem is most of the time, whenever your main quarterback goes out and you put somebody in the backup, when they do something good, all of a sudden you think they're better than the starter. This is a good take. It is easy to look at Mike White and say, oh yeah, like the offense looked a little bit better, looked a little bit more smooth. There's multiple factors involved, and again, I'm not going to make a ton of excuses for Zach, but the one thing is that this was a complete and utter blowout. So the stat padding was a plentiful, and the defense just wasn't. They weren't playing their same looks at that point. In my opinion, I would think that the Patriots, although they were trying to run the score up at that point, why would they show a bunch of looks that they could potentially save for a future game? You don't want to, put that all on film. So that's just my personal take. Yeah, that's the thing. Mike White, his accuracy was definitely not consistent. It looked good in some cases, but, throwing down the field, not all that great at all. This stream is almost to the 2-hour mark, so we're getting close to the end here. If you have not hit the like button, please consider doing that right now. If you have not subscribed to the channel, if you're watching this live right now and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We do live streams every Wednesday night, every Sunday night, and we would love to get you guys involved in the live streams. So if you're watching this, after the stream ends as well, we'd love to also have you be a part of the show. Thanks, guys, for hanging in there. And I wish that we had something more exciting to talk about other than this terrible team that we're rooting for. It's tough, man. It's hard being a Jets fan. And like DJ Guapolini had mentioned in his phone call, we are fans like us are the lifeblood of the NFL. We are still supporting one of, if not the worst team in the NFL. And yet here we are, we're rooting for this team and we are still, talking about them. And I'm sure in most cases purchasing their swag, their memorabilia. So we are true fans. There's no doubt about it. Grant Rude says a PCL tear is a 4 to 12 months, depending on the severity. Jets offense and OC is finally going to be evaluatable. Evaluatable? Is that a word? Evaluatable. You'll be able to evaluate them. We'll see. But did you die though? Oh God. Sometimes it felt today like I was going to melt into my chair. It really did. We need to start a drinking game to get through a Jets game. Shaking my head. I am thinking about doing a live stream for the next game. I haven't done that in a while. Doing a live play-by-play. Let me know what you guys, if you would like to do that kind of thing, if you like watching the games and doing a live stream as well. It would be a really good way to talk about the games, obviously, in the moment that they're happening. If you guys want to call in, I'll take a couple more calls. It is getting a little late, but I can take a call or two more. 347-921-1468. I'm not really sure where to go here. Grant Rude pointed it out. We have the Bengals. We have the Colts. We have the Bills. It is very possible and almost likely at this point that we will be 1-8. The bye week is gone, so we can't even look at that and say, oh, yeah, the bye week's coming up. We'll make some changes. You know, the time for that would have already happened, in my opinion. I love Jets Talk Radio, man. They're one of my favorites. One of the reasons why I created the channel. I used to love, I don't watch them anymore because I'm obviously doing these live streams, but I used to love watching their Sunday post-game show that they do every Sunday, I believe, still. Love Tyson Roush. great guys, and I'm very certain that they are pissed as could be about the results from today and this season. There's no way about it. There's no way that they couldn't be disappointed. Kev Chata. Every time Salah is expressionless, take a drink. There could be so many different ways to drink during a Jets game that you would be sick. How about the run up the gut on 4th and 1 and a run up the gut on a 2-point conversion? That's all you can come up with? Like, I get it. Like, if it would have worked, we would have been not saying anything, but the lack of creativity on offense right now is very, very telling. I think that LaFleur, he's having a hard time finding weaknesses in the opponents, and I believe he's having a hard time making those adjustments excuse me, on the fly. I think that's something that he clearly needs some work on. Yeah, Jason Rhodes, Green Bean's awesome. I have been on his show. Maybe I need to get Green Bean on here. Maybe I need to get some people on here as well. Not just Green Bean, but also, I'd love to have Matt O'Leary come on the show, maybe for a Sunday post-game show. He's fantastic. Ryan from Jets Talk. I talk to these guys, on Twitter, in DMs every once in a while. And I know it sounds like that, me sucking up to them or whatever. It's really not the case. They have been so kind and so helpful in those in those conversations. We have a really, really, really good community of people, not just on YouTube, but just in general. We have so many passionate Jets fans, and they're just all so good, and they all have great takes. They all work really, really hard to provide you guys with, content. I've tried my best to keep up with, doing things on the channel. Haven't made as many videos lately because of work. I'm hoping that will even out as the year goes on. But I love it, man. I love talking Jets, and I love talking with the community. It's good stuff. I'm blessed to be able to do it, and I'm very, very happy that you guys enjoy it. It makes me feel good. So really do appreciate it. Yeah, that's the thing, Jets Unleashed. I don't plan on drinking until I die, and that would be the case. We would pass out. We would be on our couches or our chairs, whatever it may be, and we would just fold up like a lawn chair. All right. You're going to call Green Bean? Please do. Give him a call. I would love to get him. I think he'd be more than happy to do so. He's even offered that to me. I'm going to try to get him on maybe sometime. I'll send him a DM tonight, see if he'd be interested in doing the Sunday postgame show for next week. Kev Chad, I really appreciate that comment. It means a lot to me. I respect everybody in the Jets content world. They're all really, really nice people because, like I said, if you look at the first videos on this channel, they don't look like what they do now. And I tell you, and I kid you not, the people in the Jets community, they helped me. They gave me ideas. I would ask questions. They would answer them. There was no ignoring. Just really, really good people. Didn't even mention Jets Central. I mean, there's just an endless amount of people on these platforms giving us content for the New York Jets. It's really amazing. Sheriff Branford, he says, Woody needs to fire everyone and sell the team. Oh, I would be so happy if he sold the team. And Blunted Vegas agrees with you. The Johnsons, I think that their heart is in it, but their minds are not. They don't have what it takes, I don't think, to own a team. the proof is in the pudding. They have made so many poor moves over the years, and they clearly got involved with Gase, and we all know that was a huge mistake. So my skin, I do wear sunscreen. I didn't wear sunscreen. It was earlier in the season. For the Jets Patriots game, the first one, I didn't wear sunscreen and I got blitzed with sun. My skin is actually it's fine. I don't have a sunburn. I'm good. Let's see here. What if they sell the team and they disband it? My buddy Mike, who's on the show as well, he comes on the Wednesday podcast. He's talked about how empty of a feeling that would be if the Jets decided one day to sell and to relocate the team. I can't even imagine that. She is correct. I do change colors depending on the activity. I'm like a chameleon. I adapt to my environment. The Johnson family was too busy flying around with Jeffrey Epstein. True facts. They don't care about football. I hope that you're wrong. Part of me disagrees with you. I think they truly want to be good, but it's like I said, I think that they just don't know what they're doing. I think that they don't know what the correct path is to success. Christopher Johnson did the best he could to ruin the entire franchise while Woody was gone. Woody's back. Nothing's really changed, so who the hell knows? Imagine doing push-ups every time the enemy team scores a touchdown. I worked out earlier. I've been trying to get into better shape. I was in really good shape before I had a surgery at the end of last year. I need to get back in shape, though. I'm going to work on that. Maybe that'll help my face not look so red. Alex Barisha, he says they list Wilson as 6'2" or 6'3", but he is not even 6'1". I will disagree with you there, my man. There was a picture posted in the offseason of, I believe it was Drew Brees standing next to Wilson, and Wilson definitely had at least a couple of inches on him. The big thing with Wilson is he's not built very thick. You know, his legs are not all that developed. Not very trunky, as Colin Cowherd would say. He needs to put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle. The height is not really a factor for me. I'm not really concerned about it. If Zach Wilson were 6 foot tall, that's not really a problem. That's not really a deal breaker in my book. There have been a number of quarterbacks in the modern NFL specifically that have thrived. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. There's a number of them. Height, not really my word. I'm not really worried about the height. Yeah, it sure is. That's my typical shape these days. I need to work on that. I need to become more defined, so you guys don't have a round face to look at all year long. All right, with the round face comment, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put a bow on the show. Ooh, I'm writing that down. Bow on the show, because that just sounds too good. I do thank you guys. There was a lot of new people involved in the show tonight. Tons of comments. The phone calls were excellent. We even had a Bills fan call into the show. He wasn't a complete ass, so that was nice. I just want to thank everybody again for all the support. What is there to say? I hope that the Jets do a better job this week. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what Robert Saleh, how he communicates with the press, with the team itself, obviously. And moving forward, I'm going to keep saying it because I said it, going into this game. This coaching staff are the ones that have to get us out of this hole. Players play the games. They win and lose football games. Coaches also win and lose football games. And if the coaches can't make adjustments, if they don't change the lineup, if they don't help these young players learn, we aren't going to see any changes this season. Nothing will change. The only thing that will change is the score. I really appreciate it, guys. Lots of compliments in the chat. I really do appreciate that. I do hear you, Alex. No worries. I hear what you're saying loud and clear. This is NYJ Today. I'm John. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you guys this Wednesday for the Wednesday podcast. Hope you all have a great night. Go Jets. Good luck Monday tomorrow at work. See you guys next time. Word from my daughter. Love and peace to you guys.